तले स्वयं रूपकदा मायं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगुणरघुनाथं वितं तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaguna Lalita Shri Vishakha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gauranga Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwanusute Devi Namami Yadipriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhyo च पतितानां वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. This is, thank you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So thank you so much for being here. I wanted to thank Kajal and Manjushta for allowing us to be in your house. So today's discussion topic recommended by the Kajal Prabhu Manjushta Mataji is very interesting topic about how to balance religious activities with Krishna conscious activities. I have that right? How to balance. Do you want to explain now?
Oh, no, I think you're good.
I have it right, Kajal Prabhu.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, so it's a practical question, and I think it kind of predicates itself on how we define and distinguish between religious activities and Krishna conscious activities, right? So, so in this context, there is an incident in Mahabharata, which probably you're all familiar with, that once the Pandavas were in the forest and they were all very, very thirsty. So the Kunti Devi, she asks her sons to go and find water close by. And one by one, Sahadev goes, and he finds a small lake, and then as he's about to take water, there is a yaksha in a tree close to the lake. He says that you cannot take water unless you answer my questions. And then Sahadev is like, my mother is thirsty, my brothers are thirsty, so let me go and give them the water, and then I can come and answer all your questions. So the yaksha says, no, it's forbidden. You have to answer my questions, otherwise you'll die. So, but Sahadev doesn't pay attention. He begins to take the water, and he actually dies. He falls down dead. So after a while, when Sahadev doesn't return, then Kunti Devi sends Nakul, and same thing happened there. And then after that, Arjun goes. Arjun sees Nakul and Sahadev lying dead, and he kind of assumes that they've died because of thirst. So he again goes and tries to take some water. The yaksha again forbids him, and then Arjun also drops dead. and then Bhima, and then finally Yudhishthira goes there. He sees 4 of his brothers lying dead. The Yaksha again saying that um, I am responsible for their deaths, and this is why they have died. So then Yudhishthira says, okay, ask me the questions you have to ask. And then what follows is the very famous Yudhishthira Yaksha Vartalap, which we can probably have a whole class on. In terms of he asks close to 70 questions, and he says if you answer any questions incorrectly, then you'll also die, right? And and then he keeps asking Yudhishthira, and one of the questions that he asks him is, what is dharma? Right. So what in your mind is the definition of dharma? Of course, fortunately, we don't have that extenuating circumstances over here that if we answer incorrectly, then something drastic is going to happen. What do you think is dharma?
Doing your duties.
Hmm?
Doing your duties.
Doing your duty. Very good. Adiguru?
Something that sustains your life.
Something that sustains our life. Okay.
Doing our duties, knowing our constitutional position.
Knowing our constitutional position. Okay.
Follow what is correct according to your
According-
religion.
According to
our religion.
our religion. Expand on that a little bit. What does that mean?
Like in Krishna conscious, there are regulative principles, and especially I would say like non-violence. That would be for me the dharma.
Okay. Okay. Shweta?
Doing our duties as per our shastras, what they say.
Very good. Yeah. So Yudhishthira says that dharma is acting according. So I think all of you were touching the very relevant aspects of it. Doing your duty as per the religion, but ultimately it boils down to what the Vedas say, right? So the Vedas are the custodians of the dharma. Dharma emanates from the Vedas. Another interesting question, a little bit of a detour, but another interesting question that the Yaksha asks Yudhishthira Maharaj is that what is the most wonderful thing in this world? And Yudhishthira says that we all see everybody dying around us, but we never think that we will die. He says that's the most wonderful thing. So anyway, Yudhishthira answered all his questions correctly, and then the Yaksha says, take the water and I give back the life to your 4 brothers. And then Yudhishthira says that this is not something that a Yaksha can do, take away life and give away life. So tell me who you really are. Right? And then the Yaksha reveals himself to be actually Lord Yamraj, who had come to test Yudhishthira. So this particular aspect of understanding dharma from Shastra Chakshu is the foundation of practicing. So Srila Prabhupada in the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita makes this distinction between dharma and religion. So just so that you get brought up the point of religion, what do you think is the difference between dharma and religion? So religion is like Hinduism, Christianity, Islam. What's the difference between Dharma and religion, or anybody else?
Maybe how we practice our
Very
dharma.
good. Very good. The practice of the dharma is religion, right? So the example is like somebody might tell you that in order to have better health, these are the things that you need to do: eat right, exercise, take rest, etc. And different people may implement those guiding principles in different ways. The principles don't change, but the way that they are enunciated in one's life, they may change depending on Kal, Desh, Patra, time, place, circumstance. So Prabhupada makes this point that today somebody is a Hindu, tomorrow may be a Christian, day after may be a Muslim. The religion changes, but the dharma does not change, right? And that's how he ties together the underlying principles across all religions, saying that they're unified by the principles of dharma. At another place he says dharma is the constitutional position of the jiva, and that does not change. Its manifestation might is same point is made by Krishna in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and divine and demoniac nature, where Krishna tries to make this distinction between divine and demoniac personalities. Right? Initially, he makes this externally in terms of how they behave, and then towards the end, he makes it internally, and he only uses one criteria. He says that those who are divine, they abide by the scriptures. Those who are demoniac, they act whimsically. Right? So it does not say that they go against the scriptures. Right? He says they act whimsically. And that's what leads Arjun to ask the question in the 17th chapter, that if somebody is acting whimsically but happens to follow the scriptures, what is it? Is it divine or demoniac? Like somebody is by nature charitable, and the person likes to give in charity, but not necessarily in compliance with the scriptures. Right? And then Krishna, the whole of 17th chapter and the first quarter of the 18th chapter is essentially the answer to that question. So this interplay between dharma and religious practices, at least, and now I'm talking more from our settings, it manifests like in a way like now in India the festival seasons are coming, so one can be celebrating different festivals, and those festivals may have an impact on how you practice your Krishna consciousness. Right? So let's assume you have so in Maharashtra, I think this is the time they have Ganpati Visarjan, right? Or August. It's in August. They have, in September, August, they have Ganpati Visarjan. And around the same time, there is Durga Puja in Bengal, around that time, etc. Right? So then those activities happen, and how does one integrate that with one's spiritual practices? Right? So there's this famous pastime in the Bhagavatam that all of you are fully aware of, that I'm going to very briefly summarize, which is the Govardhan Dharan Leela. Right? So this happens, Krishna gets up in the morning and then he sees that everybody is busy. His mother is busy, everybody around the house is running around. So he goes to his mother and then he keeps asking her, what is it that you're doing? What keeps you busy? And Yashoda Mai, she says that, don't bother me, go and ask your father. So, so Krishna then promptly goes off to Nanda Baba. And this time he's a little bit more manipulative, so to speak. So he goes and sits on the lap of his father just to evoke his affection, right? And then he says Baba, Baba, right? Again to evoke his paternal affection, saying, I have a question for you. Right? So by now Nand Baba is already overflowing with Vatsalya Bhav. His son is sitting on his lap and calling him Baba, asking him. And then he says that, what is all this that is going on around here? And so Nand Baba says, today is our puja, our puja for Lord Indra. Thank you. So then Krishna says that, tell me a little bit more about it, right? And now Krishna starts acting very scholarly. And he says that it is said in the scriptures that if a person has knowledge, then he should not hide that knowledge. He should share that knowledge, right? So he's putting some pressure on Nand Baba to answer, because he's thinking that Nand Baba might say that don't bother me now, just go away. So anyway, Krishna is putting this question, and Nand Baba then says that, okay, we are having this puja for Indra. And then Krishna asks him 3 questions after that. Then he says that, what is the benefit of this yajna? Who is the benefactor of the yajna? And what is the source of it? Right? And if you can remember these questions, 3 questions, they are very important for us also, as we evaluate things in our life. So Nand Baba says that this is for the benefit of Indra, because Indra controls the rain, and as Vaishyas, we are the farming community, the cow holding community, we depend a lot on the rain. So this is for propitiating Indra. The benefactors are us, because if there is no rain, if there is drought, there won't be any crops, and so we are the benefactor. And the source, he says, is that I've been doing it because my father did it, and before that his father did it. So it has been a tradition in our family. So then Krishna, of course, makes this point that he kind of dismantles Nand Baba's arguments that why are you doing it for the sake of rain from Indra? Because Indra is obligated to give rain. If it was not, then why would rains fall on the oceans? The ocean has no need for the rain, but then also it falls. And the acharyas say that in Mathura, Kamsa had stopped all the yajnas for Indra, but Indra, because he was scared of Kamsa, he would regularly make rain fall over there, right? So then he convinces him that you should worship Govardhan, because Govardhan gives us a lot more than Indra gives us. There are grass for the cows, and there are minerals and mines that we use, and there are playgrounds for the children. So Govardhan gives us much more. Now, one of the question that he asks him is that what is the source of this practice? And Nand Baba, he frankly says that I don't know. I am doing it because I have received it in tradition. So the reality of religion in the current day and time is that it is 99% cultural. It is very difficult to correlate most of the activities that are done in religion to the scriptures. There are two reasons for that. The first reason is given by Jiva Goswami in Tattva Sandarbha, where he does a fairly rigorous analysis of the Vedas in terms of what is the body of the Vedas, right? And then he compares it with it's like kind of you have a book, and you still have the table of contents of the book, but you may not have all the pages of the book. But if you look at the table of contents, then you can figure out how much of the book you have and how much is missing, right? So similarly, the Vedas are self-defining. So Jiva Goswami, Jiva Goswami, he refers to various aspects of the Vedas that, and this was about 550 years ago, that, so to speak, were the table of contents. That this is what the Vedas would have. That there are 4 Vedas. Each one of them is divided into 4 divisions: the Brahmanas, Aranyakas, the Upanishads, and the Samhitas. Then each one of them have so many verses. So based on that, he determines that what are the various divisions of the Vedas, how many verses they have, and then he compares it with what is present at the time, and then he determines, and this was 550 years ago, that 94% of the Vedas are lost, only 6% are remaining, right? And in the current day and time, most of that 6% is also gone, right? So 99% of the Vedas are actually lost. So the practice of the religion being tied back to the Vedas is very difficult there, right? So that's the first reason. The second reason is cultural influence. That because religion is a community endeavor, and it gets passed from generation to generation. Radhanath Swami once gives this, I'm not sure if it is true, but it's humorous example of how there was once a Buddhist master, and he was at the end of his life, so he wanted to teach his students some form of meditation. So they're all sitting attentively, and he's teaching on the various steps in the meditation. And at that time, a small kitten comes by. So then he just leans forward, strokes the kitten, pushes it away, and then continues doing it, teaching the students. And then after some time, when he dies, the students start doing the meditation. And then as part of that, they would also get the kitten in, they would rub the kitten and do that. So the point he was making is that if you're not able to reaffirm from the source, then there are variations that may get absorbed because of happenstance, because of one reason or the other. Like in the northern part of India, Karwa Chauth is a very, very prominent festival. Not so much in the south, right? South it's not there. Not so much in Bengal also, right? Mostly in the northern, in the northern belt it is there, but very difficult to find where it comes from. Right? There is no clear correlation between any particular instructions in the Veda. Like if you see Ekadashi, there are very clear cut instructions that how to follow Ekadashi and what is the significance of it. Not so much of that. And now, at least what I hear is now that both husband and wife both fast now for one another now. Right? So earlier on it used to be, at least when I was growing up, it was just my mom who was fasting, and pretty later on maybe the kids will also fast. So it just like changes, right? Somebody does something and it becomes popular. There's no way to correlate back that this is the referential guide, and this is where it is coming from. Now, having said that, it does not mean that religion is something that has that in any way can be minimized, right? Because religion is the manifestation of dharma that is available to us. Even if, like we take that example that Radhanath Maharaj gives, that if they're stroking the kitten, but they may have the other 20 steps right. That one step, it may or may not be disruptive. Maybe it's not relevant, but maybe it's not disruptive. But they definitely have the other 20 steps that the master taught them, which they continue to teach, right? And in the same Yaksha, the Yudhishthira Vartalab, Yudhishthira speaks a verse that from Manu Samhita actually. So the verse goes like Dharma eva hato hantam dharma rakshata rakshita tasmad dharmana hantavya mano dharma hato vada. So dharma eva hato hantam. So hato means kill or harm. So dharma eva hato hantam means that if you harm dharma, eva, definitely dharma will harm you. Like hato hantam. Hantam means more so. You give dharma one punch, dharma will give you 10 punches in return. Eva, definitely. And dharma rakshata rakshita. That if you protect dharma, rakshita, dharma will protect you. Tasmat. So therefore, tasmat dharmana hantavyam. So therefore be smart. Dharmana hantavyam, don't harm dharma. Mano dharma hato vata. Right? So that dharma does not harm you. Right? So our protection at the hands of dharma is very, very important, even if it is the semblance of dharma. Right? Because if you look at the religious practices, they may be echoes of what is given in the scriptures, but nevertheless they are echoes of them. Nevertheless they are reverberations of what was given. If we completely neglect them, then dharma eva hato hantam. That you harm dharma and dharma will harm you. Right? So one of the points that the Yaksha asks Yudhishthira is, what is the most essential aspect of dharma? And Yudhishthira says ahimsa. Right? He says it's non-violence. What is the most attractive quality in a man? A man who is charitable. Right? So he talks about the various aspects of dharma that are manifest there. So as practicing devotees, when we have this question of religious practice with spiritual practices, right? Religious practices are what is coming based on cultural aspects, based on like Deepavali, right? The Deepavali, at least in the north, they always have Lakshmi Ganesh Puja, right? There is no scriptural reference to it. Completely different personalities are there. Lakshmi ji she's from the spiritual world. Lord Ganesh is from the material world. Lakshmi Devi has the expansion of Lakshmi Devi is Durga Devi, who is the mother of Ganesh, right? So putting them on the altar at the same level also doesn't make sense, right? But at some point, somebody had this idea, and most probably somebody in some marketing department, that Lord Ganesh is Vigna Vinashan, and everybody is looking for money, right? So how do we make sure that we get money without any obstacles? So let's have Ganesh and Lakshmi, right? And then Lord Vishnu is somewhere saying, hey, what about me? Right? So everything is coming from me. I'm the source of all the opulence, right? So somewhere now, even here, you look at this, which is something that is completely the figment of somebody's imagination, or Karva Chauth, right? It is somebody's imagination at some point that happens. But just by worshipping Goddess Lakshmi Devi, one is worshipping a devotee of Lord Vishnu. By worshipping Lord Ganesh, who is empowered by Lord Narsingadev, one is making spiritual advancements. Maybe not to the same level as they would make if they worshipped Lakshmi Narayan, right? But nevertheless, it is far better than those people who go out on Diwali and open a bottle of beer and take out a pair of cards and say, this is Diwali, gambling and intoxication, right? It's much better than that. So we cannot minimize the aspect of religion, because religion is the safeguard that is given to us to maintain the guardrail of the scriptures. That if it gives us the yam and niyam, the do's and the don'ts, and it allows us to follow it. When we are looking at it in contrast with spiritual practices, right? So, question to you: what should be our thought process? Right? We have so we are practicing devotees. You have your round to chant. You have your Durga Puja to go to. How would you balance that out? How would you make that decision? Not to put you on a spot, but
Finish your rounds and then go for the puja.
that's one way. Finish your rounds. What else?
Or when you're offering your obeisances to Goddess Durga, you're saying, hey, I understand what position is yours, and I pay my obeisances to you, devotee of Krishna, Vaishnavi of Krishna.
Yes, very good. What else?
I can say one practical example in Mandir, because we also worship like Kuldevi, right, which is Durga, which is Bhayahari. So at yearly once, we make 7 or 9 items, Naivedya, 9 items for her, and we offer them. That's what my mom used to practice that. We also practice, but after coming to Krishna consciousness, what I did is I just simply give that 9 items to Krishna and then ask him to share with, Durga. So that was the thinking behind that now, because I'm because of the mercy of Durga, I'm coming to Krishna. So keep helping me in that way. But the offering is still to Krishna.
To me at least, I take it through my Guru Maharaj. So for me, all my worship is through my Guru Maharaj to whoever, Krishna, Devi, They are all opportunities that my Guru Maharaj.
Very nice. Thank you. Shipalma?
Yeah, I was just remembering an earlier discussion, Prabhuji, where we had this topic, and you mentioned that in India, when we go to temples, there are all the deities there. Vishnuji is also there, Krishna is also there, but then there is Shivji and all the deities, right? So you mentioned that when you bow down, they are also agents of Krishna. You know, Krishna has given them that responsibility. So we are still very far. We cannot conceive. From our level, they're still very far up. But when we do obeisances or when we offer in a mood that, you know, you are agents, you can help me connect to Krishna.
Thank you. Rupam? Simple? Thank you.
Otherwise, just remind me something about Jagannath Puri temple. So when we enter, in the entrance, the very first deity is Durga Devi. And then when we enter a little further, there is Ganeshji. And then we enter into the temple. So,
What's the name of the Durga Devi deity?
Bimala Devi.
Bimala Devi.
And also, once the prasadam has been offered to the deity and to Lord Jagannath, it goes to Bimala Devi's temple. And then only it is called Mahaprasadam. Before that, it is not called Mahaprasad. So first it will be offered to Lord Jagannath, and then it will go to Bimala Devi, then it will go to Ananda Bajar for Ajay Mahaprasad. So I asked that question to the main Panda there, the Bada Panda, that this is a Vaishnava temple, and Durga Devi is there, Ganeshji there, and so many other. And he says that these are all protecting the kshetra, the place, so that unauspiciousness doesn't go inside. So when you are entering, you are also praying them that I am going to see the Supreme Lord. So please help me in removing all the obstacles in my worshipping to the Lord. So I think that's what Pili Mataji also mentioned, that when we go there, we pray to the Lord, to the deity's personality to help us in this. That is one part. And second part, when I see when devotees go there, especially who are practicing devotees, they take that an opportunity in preaching further. They put a book table and Prabhupada's book, and people do take books from there because they were anyway inclined towards some servant of the Lord. So people take it positively. If not everyone, but I see that. Just few.
Thank you. Mataji?
Prabhuji, my experience little bit like Lalji Prabhuji, we have our Kuldevta, like village Kuldevta for us, Radha Kunjaveri. So morning, evening we go like for prayer and all those things. Till the time like
Radha Kunj Bihari.
हमारे घर में सभी है ना, मतलब my parent till my parental age only Vaishnav marriages were happening. Das family having the like temple they used to serve. So morning, evening kirtan and all those things we go, but we never felt like like kind of rituals, but having very emotional attachment with Radha Kunjaveri. I never felt like we need to ask something. Once, like maybe around 9th grade, my somewhere one subject I got 56 marks, and my brother they are getting 98 kind of. I asked, how can I get? Should I ask Radha Kunjaveri? Don't know, don't ask Radha Kunjaveri. So better worship later, Shivji. He will give you easily. So that was in my mind. So I was whenever I need something, so Shivji. And from my birth, like my grandma, my family would sit Kuldevi, Tarini, to get a girl. So after getting like me, so everyone surrendered to that Kuldevi, like Tarini, that with your blessings we got her. So they established a temple in our village, starting of the village. Like it was far behind. So someone told like, if you go there, ask something, then the mother will give. So from my childhood, I have been asked like, no matter whatever is happening, you should always surrender to Mata Rini, because she is your like there's a Karta Dharta Jyoti. So Radha Kunjaveri is there, they are Kuldevta, and we are. My father used to say, whatever is happening due to Krishna's mercy. So this is one aspect. Whenever I need something, my brother told, okay, just ask na Siji. Then another thing, I always need to surrender to Tarini. So when after marriage, I got Tarini's picture. I follow Krishna consciousness, but in my heart also, whenever something happening, I don't go to Krishna, because Krishna is for bhakti, then Tarini is for protection. Some kind of department I did. Then after listening in many lectures, so one time Madan Mohan Prabhuji, he became Bhakti Vikha head. So he was town house Prabhuji. He told Mataji, you are doing everything, but why you are keeping this picture? I told and narrated everything. And told, he explained, watering the root gives everything. If you feel you need to satisfy Mother Tarini, just give all those things to Jagannath Balbhadra Subhadra, and your Mother Tarini will be satisfied. After that, I asked how to keep this. Then he suggested. Then I changed my mindset. It was mindset only. Like if I not do, then something will happen to me. And
Just in a lighter mode. So Matarini is basically Durga. Durga Devi is one form. So after that event, then Tarini Mata's photo has went into the suitcase and it's still there.
Thank you for sharing. Parikshit?
So sometimes at least religious activities can be enabler or catalyst for spiritual activities. So it's kind of like a silly example that when we fast, the point of fasting is not to figure out prasadam that we can eat for fast. The point of fasting is we worry less about what we need to eat, spend more time thinking about Krishna. So as long as religious practices are helping us become more firm, or helping us towards the spiritual activities, they're helpful. If they're distracting you from spiritual activities, then may not be the best thing.
Yeah, and that's a good way to evaluate. Thank you for sharing. Any other thoughts? Good. Thank you. So I think the point that I wanted to make has been amply made by you. I think testimony of the maturity of a realization. On the other side, the point that I wanted to caution against, and to some extent I think Mataji also made that, is that sometimes people do the balancing system, that we will worship Krishna for this, and we will worship Lord Shiva for this, and Durga Devi for this, and Indra for this, and in September we will worship this particular deity, in October we'll worship this other deity. That's difficult to use as a basis for growth. So, I believe it's in the Naradiya Puran. It's not in one of the Mahapurans. It's one of the Upapurans, where apparently Narad Muni once became very proud of his devotion. That I'm such an exalted devotee of Lord Vishnu. I'm always chanting Narayan, Narayan. So Krishna, of course, he doesn't like pride in his devotees. So he says that he goes to Narad Muni and says that, see one of this devotee of mine, exalted devotee. I'd like to take you to meet an exalted devotee. And he takes him to the farm where there's a farmer, and he's doing his work all the day, and then while he's doing his work, he's also chanting and singing Krishna's bhajans. And Narad Muni says he doesn't compare to me. That I'm Shuddha Bhakta, I'm pure devotional service, uncontaminated by any material endeavors. Anabhilashita shunyam jnana karma janavatam. So Krishna says, possible, but do one thing for me. You take this pot, fill it with oil to the brim, and then you hold it on your head and you circumambulate this hill. And make sure that not a single drop of oil spills over. Harmony says, okay. So he does that, he circumambulates the hill, not a single drop of oil spills over. And then Krishna asks him that while you were walking around the hill, what were you thinking about? And Nalmuni says, just I was being very, very careful, just making sure that I don't have a misstep and any of the oil spills over. And Krishna said, that's good. How long were you thinking of me? And Nalmuni said, I got no time to think about you, because that's what I was thinking about, right? So that is the challenge in trying to balance things. Like sometimes we say that, and this goes a little bit against the grain of what contemporary wisdom is, the importance of balance. That things should be in balance, work-life balance, and what are some of the other balances?
Portfolio balance.
The portfolio balance. Spoken like a true millionaire. So all kinds of environmental balance, this balance, but really speaking, balance is an artificial state, right? And that's why, if it was natural, you shouldn't have to work so much on it. Like the love of a mother for the child is natural, right? She doesn't have to balance it out. Maybe for her husband she has to balance because it's not natural, but for the child it's natural, right? How many mothers go for coaching how to love my child, right? And whether it's from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. or whether it is, it's just not there, right? So the reason the balance never really works, because balance itself consumes so much of energy. In Narad Muni, he was just thinking about balancing the pot on his head, right? And everything else flew out of the window. What Krishna consciousness talks about is harmony, which is getting things into their natural state. Right? And a harmony may or may not be balance. But what it means is that everything supports each other. Right? So if somebody says that I have to balance, and I think Manjushta is gone.
No, I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Okay. You used to be over here, right? So the question that you had asked was how to balance religion with Krishna consciousness. And what I'm saying is that what we need to ask is how do we harmonize our religious practice with Krishna consciousness, right? And even without me asking that question, I think all of you have kind of given that answer, that we see Krishna's hand everywhere. When we are obligated to offer something to our ancestors, to our Kul Devis, then we offer them you were there, you offer them prasadam. No, somebody else was telling me that you offer them prasadam, right? So you offer to Krishna and he offers Krishna's prasadam to them, right? Or if you have to worship, then you worship them along with Krishna, or you prioritize it accordingly. So the focus that we should look at it is not so much how to apportion our energies to balance, but really how to harmonize it. Because with harmony, there is the natural strength of resonance. That if it resonates with one another, then it strengthens one another. So the practice of dharma will strengthen religion, and the practice of religion will strengthen dharma. Now, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is not very shy about rejecting religion. Right from the second chapter, he starts making fun of he starts making fun of religion. Imam Pushpate Vacham Prapatante Avadantaya. That is, Vedas is full of flowery words. Right? Vedavad Ratha Partha. That these so-called Vedvad Ratha Partha, these so-called followers of the Veda, Nanushyantam Sochanti, that don't understand. They don't understand much, right? Later on, he says that people who follow Devas, what does he call them? He calls them Alpamedisham. Alpamedisham, very derogatory term. Like Alpamedisham means foolish people. Alpa means small, Meda means intelligence. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, right? And while Krishna is doing this, what is he doing to himself? Mamekam Sharanam Braj. Yad Karoshi, Yad Asnashi, Yad Johoshi, Dadashi. Tad Kuru Madarpanam. And he's all about me, right? And he says, not them, me. And so when we get this out of the Bhagavad Gita and elsewhere in the Vedas, we kind of get something like this. How do we reconcile these two things? Because you have all read the Bhagavad Gita very well, you have read Srila Prabhupada's purports, and if Krishna is like this, Prabhupada is like this. If you look at Prabhupada's purports, he goes out of his way to, and in Bhagavad Gita, he's actually, believe it or not, he's sugarcoating. In the Bhagavatam, he's even more direct, where, he criticizes roundly. What's that famous verse that he quotes from the 11th canto? Deva Rishi Bhutapni Nrinam Pitranam. This is Krishna saying, he quotes that Deva Rishi, that Devas, Rishis, Bhutas means other human beings, Bhutapta, family members. Then Rinam, society, Pitranam, and ancestors. And then Krishna says, you don't have any obligations towards them. Because he says, Na kinkara. You're not servants to them, na nirnam. Nor you have any debt to them. And why? Why is it that? He says, Sharanam Sharanyam. That these people themselves are taking shelter of me. Why are you taking shelter of them when they themselves are taking shelter of me? So what is the conclusion? He says that take the shelter of Gato Mukundu. That take the shelter of Mukunda, and who is the awarder of all liberations. So the question to you is, and maybe that's what comes in the mind, that at one point we have this Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, making this huge distinction that Sarvadharam Pratyajay, that give up all varieties of religion, which means that all varieties of worship, whether it is worship of Indra, Chandra, Surya, Durga, give up everything. Mamekam Sharanam Praj, right? And then the question is, what if because of the apeksha to these devas, what if I accrue any sins? Right? Krishna says, Aham tum sar papebhyo mokshayami masucha. Right? Any sins that you will accrue, I will take care of them. Mokshayami masucha. Do not fear. Do not fear Indra. Remember what I did to him in Vrindavan. Do not fear Brahma. So he's making the Mahasucha. Do not fear all these people. Mahamekam Sharanam Praj, right? So how do we reconcile this in our practical lives? These two perspectives.
Sorry, should you repeat the question? I didn't get the question.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think I expanded on the question quite a bit. So I think concisely the question would be that if you read the Bhagavad Gita or the Bhagavatam, you get a clear injunction of rejecting religiosity in order to pursue Krishna consciousness. Right? No holds barred. Right. And yet there is the whole body of the Vedas that talk about religion. There are personalities like Yudhishthir who are glorifying the pursuance of religion. Empirically, you see people following the different aspects of religion. How do we reconcile these two perspectives?
Maybe for entry.
For who?
For entry to Krishna consciousness, no barrier, because maybe what is the level of understanding. But once we cultivate, then it should be like okay, that is the final goal. Sarvatham Parityaja.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Pyani?
So, Prabhu, maybe everybody has not read everything, right? To have understood which one takes precedence, right? So you start from somewhere, anywhere, but whenever you start from somewhere, if you start with a devotee of Krishna himself, it will ultimately take you that path, because as you get more and more curious and learn more and more. So even suppose say you want to know more about Indradev, just as an example, and then you slowly learn that Indradev pays his obeisances to Lord Krishna. Yeah. So when you join as a junior in office, you're working with your boss. At that time, you do not have an understanding that it's probably the CEO of the company that's taking all the making all the decisions. So you learn that along the way as you grow in your role. Something like that.
Thank you.
Also, Krishna gives the intelligence, right? Gives intelligence, also Krishna helps.
Double Prabhu?
I think on the same line, we are feeling of it. We don't have the understanding, but once we have that wisdom, I think automatically the faith increases. Then we are able to easily reconcile that that the supreme personality of God is Krishna.
I see. Good point. I think it's okay. It kind of goes down. Okay. Who will? Rupragan?
Yes, Prabhuji. I think it's a very sort of sensitive topic, because there's nothing wrong in the two, like you explained. How do we harmonize this? And I was also thinking on the same lines of the modes and the mode of goodness versus transcending that mode and starting doing bhakti. So it becomes very difficult to say you're charitable, you're serving the nation, etc., etc. Nothing wrong with it, but still not bhakti, right? Because it's still in the material realm versus spiritual realm. And spirituality is more about surrenderness, sacrifice. And even with the mode of goodness or demigod worship, there's a little bit of a me over there, right? And in previous class, or the previous to previous class, we explained about the ultimate goal of life, which is the projectile is, if it's all the way to go back to Godhead, then we have to aim from the highest point. But if you're a little bit low, then again I think that vicious circle will get repeated. And again it goes back to the point that what is our adhikar and what's the knowledge. Yesterday also we were discussing the same topic with Govind Prabhuji, that why the whole world is going one way and the devotees are going the other way, and he did talk about the knowledge part of it, that they don't know, there's no knowledge, real knowledge. So yeah, it's a mass thinking what is right versus what is really or actually right. That's where I think challenge in today's time and age and the world is.
Very good. Thank you. Yerupanji?
But I just have remembered our classes, in your Gita classes, you said very clearly that Vedas were for the karma khandis, and then bhakti is for us, and jnana, the last set is for the yogis. So, and to answer your question, I'm thinking, like maybe Vedas is for the karma khandis who practice the karmas.
Different shloks for different folks. Soma?
Yeah, I think I can speak personally. For me, I think it's been a very gradual process, because I did not grow up in a Vaishnava family. So I grew up in a family where Saraswati and Durga and all of them were worship. So kind of it's the realization goes against the grain, right? So it's a gradual process for me at least. So it will take time. I'm further along than I was, but I think kind of
Still a journey.
Yeah, I think ignoring everything that you have seen and grown up with, and kind of coming up with a completely different belief system is a gradual process.
Prabhuji, I sometimes wonder our conditioning and how, when you first get introduced to God as a child, that conditioning stays with us for a long time. Those who are born in a Vaishnava family, or our kids, for example, are introduced to Krishna as the ultimate God. But a lot of us didn't have that conditioning, and so Shraddha is so internal that you cannot just create it. It has to come from inside. So I think that conditioning is very hard to overcome.
It's a process as opposed to an event. Yeah. Ramkatha Prabhu?
Here in Bhagavad Gita, like you mentioned, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Krishna emphasized his position and advised everybody to take up to his devotion. So as a practicing devotee, when we do devotional service, the point is about recognizing the position of Krishna and recognizing the position of demigods, not the rejection of demigods. So more emphasis on recognition. So as practicing devotees, as we more and more advanced in our devotion, our appreciation for Krishna increases multifold. Similarly, the appreciation for his servants, the demigods, also equally increases.
Right.
So we can respect, pray, worship also in the right spirit, just like how gopis did for Kachayani worship. But everything centered around Krishna, and we respect them, value them. It is not that we are denying them, rejecting them, or looking down. So that's not what the devotee conception is, my understanding. So we'll continue to what we do, just in case in some family, some occasion, if we need to do demigod worship, there's nothing wrong in sitting there and doing what needs to be done. End of the day, it's our conception, what we carry, and what we carry, the place we keep for Krishna. That's my thoughts.
Thank you. You had your hand up, Prabhu? Or,
Yes, Prabhu. I think a little bit along the same lines, it's also beyond recognizing the position, it's also inspiration. Right? For Hanuman, such a great devotee, he had the understanding of connection of Hanuman to Ram and other devotees to Krishna. It's very inspiring to learn about other devotees, other demigods, and any quality of any of these demigods may capture our heart and then take us to Krishna. So it's that also.
Thank you.
I was thinking little different way, not the answer in the sense, but Krishna in the end saying Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Saranam Raja. He's saying, forget about religion, just think about me. But in second chapter, he also says, for the same Dharma, Sambhavami Yuge Yuge, to protect that Dharma, I come. So one is individual Dharma, that you forget that, and looking at a whole, that religion which is established through Shastra to protect that, Krishna has taken up that I will take care of that. You don't have to worry about all those things. You just surrender me and I will take care of the rest of all. So he has already given a solution there that, what we should do. But at the same other aspect of it, when we grow up in certain culture and follow certain religion and certain deities, worshipping certain personalities, a kind of fearness come into mind. If I don't do that, Durga Ma नाराज हो जाएंगे. I don't do that, Lakshmi Devi नाराज हो जाएगी. So out of fear, sometimes people still continue doing it, even though they understand that yes, this is the supreme and serving that is going to solve everything. But that fear which has been there from the beginning probably still push people that करने में क्या जाता है, ये भी कर लेंगे, वो भी कर लेंगे.
Yeah.
So I think somewhere it comes into the picture, and as people get more and more matured, they understand that, well, the other factor needs to be reduced and this has to go up.
Yeah.
So somehow that harmony comes into picture probably, where people ultimately, senior devotees and more mature devotees continue. And the other principle. Just a thought come to my
Very
mind.
good point. Thank you. Yes. What's your name?
Trisha.
Krishab.
Trisha.
Trisha. Huh?
Yeah. Well, I just had a thought, which was that I think that religion and in terms of like looking at demigods and how that like potentially interferes, I guess, with like worshiping Krishna, I think that it's important to consider that religion isn't just like what you believe in, but it's also so much more, especially I think as like Indians and Hindus who like are in the States where there's so many other religions. And I think that like a lot of these pujas, like Durga Puja, Saraswati Puja, at least like I think my generation, I go to these things not necessarily because I believe in it, but more for the community and for the culture and for like getting to connect with my like homeland. So I think it's important to think about all of these like different pujas in that sense as well, that it's not just about what you believe, like what will Madhurga do, but like because you get to see your family and really like understand, I guess, like where you're coming from.
Thank you. Good point. Thank you for sharing. You have a point?
Because I think it's understanding, as Rampatha Prabhu mentioned, when we have that knowledge, Siji is the greatest Vaishnava, and like what he aspires for, and that gives some understanding. Okay, right. He is also aspiring like for Krishna, and somewhere or other, especially in India or Sikha Guru, whenever I was kind of debating or rather asking why I should not follow both the things, he told if you really follow Durgaji, Siddhi or any demigods, and whenever you will reach the highest peak, they will direct you. And he narrated his story, like whenever he was like a 4 year or 4th grade, he used to go to school, and maybe he had a very difficult life. From 4th grade he was working, and when he used to go to school, he used to take one agarbatti dhupa, and underneath a bell tree, like udapal tree, there's some like Shivji sibling. So he used to go and they used to go, and he realized that karma, that devotion to Shivji, fructified connecting to the Krishna consciousness. He admit and he respect Shivji, but he got the he mentioned a couple of times, due to Shivji's mercy, I got Krishna. Now I bow down to him, and I also understand my position now.
Good. Thank you. So you have a point to make? No. Yeah.
Yeah. So Prabhu, it so there are multiple things, right? So we as human beings are come into the world. We're conditioned based on our parents, what we see in our immediate circle, and parents and the home is the first circle that we see.
Yeah.
That's one major conditioning. And then we start to kind of be curious and learn more and all of it, right? And that's when you're navigating and reading, like everybody pretty much starts with like, okay, let me understand more, let me know more, let me question more. And in that journey, they end up reading some things versus something else. Happens chance, what they found in the library, what somebody gave to them, right? So, and if they chance upon the Bhagavad Gita, then the understanding goes in one way. But if they had chanced upon, suppose, say the Rig Veda, where Krishna is hardly mentioned actually in Rig Veda, it can go another way. And it's like a lot of like this kind of distillation and reading this whole voluminous set of books that might take you to one path versus the other, right? So what I'm saying is it's a journey. like, and Krishna of course mentions in the Bhagavad Gita in the end that he's the destination. But even to reach the destination, different people will have a different meandering journey.
Different, very good. Yeah.
So it could be through, demigods, it could be through your parents, just because, their inherent belief is taking you somewhere. It could be through your reading or the book. So it just can be, or it could be even a change in the religious philosophy that they have, right? You might have been born Hindu and then you want to use it. So it's the journey is very different.
I think relevant to the point that you're making, I'm recollecting there's a pastime in the Bhagavatam in the 4th canto about the 10 Prachetas who are sons of King Prachinabhari. And King Prachinabhari is very strong in karmakant, like in doing ritualistic performances. And so he has this 10 sons, and he says that you should have a qualified progeny. So to do that, you purify yourself. So in deference to the instructions of the father, they retired to the jungle and they're preparing to perform severe austerities. And Lord Shiva appears at the time. And then he says that I'm very much pleased by your obedience to your to the Vedas and to your parent, to your father. And so you do your austerities and recite the stotra. I'll teach you a stotra, you recite that. So Lord Shiva, then he teaches them the stotra and the glorification of Lord Vishnu. So for 10,000 years they performed that, and essentially they perfected everything then. The desires of the father, the benedictions of Lord Shiva, and they perfected their own life. But the journey began in just the desire to please the father. That was the desire that a father has said this, so we should follow his instructions. That attracted the mercy of another Vaishnava, another greater personality, Lord Shiva. And when Lord Shiva says you recite the stotra, they didn't say, don't think so, my dad didn't tell me, right? They said, exalted personality will follow what you say, right? So they followed the instructions of Lord Shiva and they reached their perfection. Now, of course, in their case, the journey happened fairly quickly, but the point that you're making is actually very nicely enunciated. That let's assume those 10 kids had said that a father, he doesn't know what he's talking about, that journey would not have started. It should not have, would have taken them somewhere else. So I think, and I'm going to end with this, I think that's the point that is important for us, that we understand, I think somebody here used the word adhikar that I like, that we should understand our adhikar, right? When Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita, he's speaking philosophy, right? You go to a doctor and the doctor says that your cholesterol should be under 200, he's speaking philosophy, right? Doesn't mean that you go ahead and, now if your cholesterol is more than 200, then you do something to get it down there, right? Doesn't mean that you're going to die or whatever it is. So you eat healthy, you exercise, you take medicine, whatever it is, and that controls it, right? But he's giving numbers, like he's giving the end state. So Krishna is speaking philosophy. There cannot be any ambiguity in philosophy. That's the nature of philosophy, that it has to be clear cut. Right? So the beauty of Bhagavad Gita is that it disambiguates a lot of potential confusion that comes through the religious aspects of the Vedas. Right? The Vedas, the Rig Veda is, what is it? It is almost entirely the glorification of Indra. Right? Lord Vishnu, if he appears, he actually appears as a very minor character. Like in the Bhagavatam, we see that Indra is going in front of Lord Vishnu and he is saying, help me, help me, help me. If you read the Devi Puran, Lord Vishnu is going in front of Durga Devi with folded hands, saying, "Help me, help me, help me." Right? It's a whole different perspective over there. That's the nature of Devi Puran is written to encourage people who have faith in Durga Devi. Right? That's the nature of practice religion, that it endorses itself. Philosophy does not work like that. Philosophy has to be definitive, clear cut. And when Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad, even though it's a Puran, but it's very close to an Upanishad. It's very philosophical in nature. There he speaks things as they should be, right? And then it is upon to us to basically to traverse that path by harmonizing what we have to where we want to get. And I think all the points that I would have liked to make would have been made, which is like considering the other personalities in relationship to Krishna, considering the other practices as something that is an opportunity for us to further our journey towards Krishna. By understanding this clear from a philosophical perspective where we want to be, and then navigating from there with the whatever social, family, and personal interactions. As devotees, we have been given practices that nourish our eternal dharma, and in a way, they are emanating from the philosophical aspect of it, right? So, what are the two essential principles of practicing devotees? What are the two principles that override every other principle? Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Right? So these are the two guiding principles. So we can use them to guide in our practicing. That yes, if I am worshipping this particular personality, is it taking my faith away from Krishna? Or how can I change my aspect that this can actually nourish my faith? In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami says that one of the offenses against Lord Vishnu or two offenses that he talks. One offense is to denigrate the demigods. It's considered to be offensive to Lord Vishnu. And the second is, which we don't practice, is to not precede the worship of Lord Vishnu, or to first worship Lord Ganesh and then worship Lord Vishnu. Right? So, worshipping Lord Vishnu without worshipping Lord Ganesh is considered to be an offense. And Prabhupada writes that we worship Lord Nrsimhadev as the source of Lord Ganesh. So overall, I think if we continue to keep our eyes on the philosophy, I need to get my cholesterol below 200. Right? If we keep our eyes on the philosophy, if we harmonize where we are to where we want to be, the results will inevitably come. Also, one point which did not come up, I was hoping it would come up, is that when Krishna says "Mam ekam sharanam braj," I kind of seeded it in a way to be unfair to you, but Krishna's Mam is not I, right? Krishna's Mam is so Krishna says that I am never by myself, right? So who is he with? He is with his devotees, right? So when Krishna says "Mam ekam sharanam braj," so he's saying surrender unto me, my devotees, those who are my well-wishers, in connection with the I, with the me. Right? So Krishna and Lord Shiva as Vaishnava Param Krishna, Shambhu. Right? Or Ganesh as expansions of Nrsimhadev. Right? So that Mam is important. Understanding that Mam, that it's not exclusive I pronoun, it's more the royal we pronoun. Surrender and do it. Okay, I'll end over here and see if there's any further discussions.
have a question. From childhood, I've been in the Vaishnav culture, and like for example, growing up for Janmashtami, it used to be like you eat chakli and murku and everything.
You do what?
You eat chakli, murku, food,
Chakli?
like fried food.
Fried
we offer
food.
it to Krishna and then you eat. And so coming here after Krishna consciousness, we're like fasting, and then I have.
Oh, so you ate chakli during Janmashtami? That's pretty good.
You offer it to Krishna in the evening and then you eat. So that is growing up. And so this is just one of the few practices that, like, coming on to Krishna consciousness.